What's up, everybody? 300 in the house. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing good. I got four guests here. Ontario Prepper, let me bring you up. Then I got Roaming Prepper, known as Pete. We got two Petes here. I got Truth with Tom, welcome. And my special guest, I'm really glad you made it, Jason. Thanks for coming, everybody. So I have a couple of questions. I hope we can go through all this. So, as you guys know, I am from Iran. I've been in war in 1979. I've been through that before, so I know what's coming. I'm not sure if everybody else are aware of what's coming towards us, and I do have a couple of questions. And if you want, you can introduce yourself, drop your links. So be done with that part, and then we can continue the whole show tonight. You want to go first, Ontario Prepper, and then Roaming, and Angry Prepper, and Tom? You got the second one.
Reboot again.
There he is.
You are twice in there. Okay. I don't know if I should remove this one. Okay.
We've got multi-Ontario.
So, hey, how you doing, everybody?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, Roaming Prepper, if you want to introduce yourself, and Tom, and Ontario Prepper.
Oh, we changed order. Shoot, you messed me up, man. I'm running slow today. Yeah, no. What's going on, Jason? What's up, Ontario, Tom?
What's going on, man?
Roaming Prepper, I'm out of Texas. I've been a prepper for, before they called it a prepper, they called it being ready, back in the day. And let me see, 8 hurricanes, 2 deployments, and a lot of years later, and decided to make a YouTube channel. I was partly inspired by this guy, Angry.
What happened? Somebody dropped. Tom, are you still there?
I'm here.
I don't know what happened.
Hey, all right, Tom can go now.
He's back.
Oh, Ontario is coming too now. All righty.
All right, don't click buttons, man.
Don't touch nothing.
Right.
It's not fun if you can't have some giggles in the live stream, right?
Right.
Hey, I'm just playing Tom. The channel's Truth with Tom. I'm out of eastern West Virginia, and like Roaming said, that prepping, we didn't call it prepping. It was just getting ready for winter, since I was a kid, really. So
Right.
good to meet you all.
Same here.
Same.
All right. So if we are done with that part, okay. My question is this: how prepared are you when tomorrow everything goes down?
There's always going to be a surprise.
The reason why I'm asking this question is because when I go on other channels, everybody's saying, "Oh, I am prepared. I am prepared." In my opinion, you can be never prepared enough. That's just my opinion about that.
Yeah.
So if you want to add something to that, you're welcome to respond to this question.
Well, like I said, there's always going to be a surprise. You do the best you can. You think you're ready, and the old saying, "You want to make God laugh, tell him your plans." There's going to be a surprise.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are since 2020 and now a lot has changed because at first people were prepping because of food shortage. Then the Russian and Ukraine war started. That's another topic for itself. So you basically have to prepare for multiple situations, not just for one.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of the stuff we buy, and in engineering they use the Pareto rule. And you guys probably know it as the 80-20 rule, right? If you think about it, about 80-90% of the stuff you prep for, say, winter or a hurricane, you can probably use for a pile of other situations, right? A flashlight's good in a blackout, and if the aliens invade. I'm being silly, of course. So when folks are going to invest money or time, they do need to sit and think, hey, granted, it could be for the hurricane, right, on the coast, or a tornado like Oklahoma, but what else can it apply to? I mean, heck, Jason, they had Manhattan go dark for 3 days. I mean, I saw videos. It looked like the zombie apocalypse, but your flashlight still works for that too, or a hurricane in Texas. So when folks budget stuff, they need to think, hey, what else can I use this product for? And that way they get the most bang for the buck.
Right. Ontario Prepper, what's your opinion about the whole study?
On what? My
Your
opinion?
opinion about what
I
Roman-
rotate. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like the way I do things, I rotate all my stuff, like, I see sales, I can't resist,
Right.
Becomes a thing where, what are you forgetting? I always got that thing in the back of my head. What am I forgetting? Something to keep you awake at night. I've been watching with, I think the whole world, we've had our eyes glued on 700 miles off the coast of Newfoundland for about 5 days now, right?
Mm-hmm.
During the United States Navy knew that that submersible Titan imploded day one, but they brought all these ships and planes. I was talking to somebody else about this today. They brought all these ships and planes and, searching for this Titan sub they think might, either on the bottom of the ocean floor, floating halfway in the middle, knowing right well that it imploded on day one because their sonars and buoys picked up. So what we're being distracted from.
Right. So my
starts
second
making you think.
Right. My second question is building a community real, or people just talking without action? Because I hear for 3 years, people I said that in 2020, in the beginning, I said that people need to build a community in order to survive. Now, I know some people might disagree with that, but the experience I made, the way I escaped from my country with my parents, we were in a group. We would have never made it to that desert getting out of there. So we were in a group and we helped each other. Everybody had brought something on the table. Not everybody has everything. So we had people with tents, we had people with food and water, we had people with guns and ammunition, So my question is really, 3 years have passed and I see a lot of hate on the YouTube streets. I really don't see that how we as the people can get together to actually create the community, because we are running out of time, and building a community takes time. I don't know what the plan for each other is. I have seen a lot of crazy shit before I came to this country, so I know what I'm talking about. Now maybe this country haven't seen it yet, or experienced anything like that, but what is the plan for the people? I mean, what are we waiting for? That is my real question. I've been asking myself this question for 3 years now. I hear people saying, "Oh yeah, we need to do this, we need to do that." I offered 70 acres of land in Texas, but I guess the people weren't too good for that. So I really don't know. What are you waiting for? Because when the shit goes down, when the economy crashes, everybody is going to lose their homes. And what are you going to do then? I mean, we're talking about preparing, but nobody's thinking about this situation. What are we going to do when that happens? That's my question.
I think we'll come together pretty well when times truly get bad. But unfortunately, we have a society where communities are going to fall apart real quick.
I also think it's contingent on where you live, right? You're out in, a Texas judge, for instance, and the sheriff constitutionally have a lot of power. So 4 or 5 counties can say, whatever, the zombies are running around. We're going to shut down all 5 counties. We're going to swear in all the able-bodied men and women, and we're going to make our own community. Whereas a city like Chicago might be an absolute disaster. So a lot of it's contingent on where you are as well as who you know. So you got to take in your geography into account as well as your preps themselves.
I mean, I tell you exactly what happened with me and my family. Okay, it was 1979, and a revolution started. The Iraqis attacked our country, and 20 million people were stuck at the airport. They shut down the airport that nobody leaves the country. So, and my father decided to walk out of the country. So we walked through the desert, 500 miles from Tehran to west, to the west direction, towards Turkey. But I didn't know who these people were. Suddenly my father had all these people together, and together we made it out of the country. And I'm not here advertising to leave this country. I'm just explaining how that was, because people were sticking together. There was no this trust thing. The only thing they wanted was to get out of there safely. So this is how we got out of that country like that. So, and I think personally, waiting, like you said, Tom, waiting till it gets bad. Well, that's not called being prepared. I mean, it's like you saying, oh yeah, there's a hurricane coming. I wait till the hurricane comes, and then I'm gonna put the wood panels on my windows. Well, maybe by that time your house is gone. So, and that is the reason why I reached out to you guys. I am a small channel. I don't care about that, but I've been through some shit, and that is the reason why I invited you guys. I wanted actually to talk about this. I think it's time that we as preppers, or we as the people in this country, to come up with a solution. I mean, I hear only people talking, but there's no action behind that. So what is the point of this talking stuff? That don't make sense to me.
Well, I think Jason's in the middle of a nest of folks who maybe 1% actually are doing what he's doing. In Houston, it was a hodgepodge during the hurricanes. Out in West Texas, we're more country. There's a lot of outdoorsy folks with a lot of equipment and knowledge, and a slew of veterans, which I wasn't expecting, as well as engineers and technical people. So I'm kind of actually happy I'm out here, because if something bad happens, it'll happen to the cities first.
Right.
But I don't know. Living in like New York City, I mean, I lived there myself, so that's
Right.
that would be a challenge for sure.
Right. And you know what? There's another thing to this. You know, everybody said, "Oh, I do have land," but you know, location, location, location. That's all I can say about that. It doesn't. What is the point if your land is 20 miles away from the city limits? So, if you're really looking for land, in my opinion, you know, you should have some land in the middle of nowhere. Far away from big cities, and that's exactly where my land is. I'm far from. I'm 3.5 hours away from any city, so that's far enough, in my opinion. You know, and you know, I have offered my land 3 years ago, but people were just laughing at me. They said, you know, maybe I lost my mind or I'm crazy or whatever. But after years and years have passed, I realized, oh, now they start talking about it. and you know, I mean, I think, you know, if everybody brings something on the table, there's a bigger survival chance for all of us, instead of you being by yourself, you running out of your preps, and then what? I mean, have you thought about that? When you, I mean, everybody has a prep to a certain point, and I do understand that. Now, maybe some people have prepped more and some people have prepped less, but at one point, we're all going to run out of it one day. So if you add all this together, you have a better survival chance than just you being by yourself. So, I mean, I do offer 70 acres of land, you know. Hey, I can only cook the food and put it on the table. I can't put that food in your mouth. So, and I mean, some of you guys know me for a while, you know. I've been around for a while now. I've been here for 3 years. I've been talking my ass off about the same subject over and over. I don't know when people are going to get it. I really don't know. At some point, I believe, you know, that people think nothing is going to happen, you know. But, you know, the hurricane don't knock at your door. Hey, next week at 3 p.m., I'm going to be here. No, it's not like that.
Well, it's going to catch a lot of us by surprise, no doubt.
So I'm just saying, you know, I mean, to build a community takes time. I mean, when you buy some land, your cabin and your garden is not sitting there and waiting for you. You have to put the work out there. You have to build it, build your cabin. You have to build your garden. All this takes time. Hey, what's up, everybody in the chat? I'm sorry. I was not trying to ignore you guys. Welcome for everybody to being here. I really appreciate that. What's up, Irishman? So I mean, and I don't know how are we supposed to build a community when, especially here on YouTube, when everybody has represent hate towards each other. You know, oh, my channel is better than your channel. Oh, I have more people than you people. Hey, don't take my content. It's limited edition. I'm gonna copyright that. You cannot take this. I mean, what the fuck, you know? You know, we need to be adults. You know, this is so fucking childish, in my opinion. You know, and you know, I'm a small fish. I'm a small channel. You know, I'm the smallest here from all of you guys. You know, but it's not about how many content you have and how many subscribers you have. We have to come together as a nation, as human beings here. We're not going to survive if you go your way and I go my way and the other guy go his way. I don't see no survival for anybody in this case. That's just the way I see it. I might see it wrong. I don't know. But where I'm coming from, we always stick like this together, you know. And and then on top of that, if we are together at one, we can learn from each other so many things. You have no idea what we can learn from each other. Everybody got their own skills.
Yeah, you see, it's a different culture. We were like that 100 years ago, but we have separated. Um, you made a point when something as trivial as a YouTube channel can cause the turmoil that you see. How do people get together when it's serious?
Yeah, that part I don't know, Tom. I mean, I said that I offered my land 3 years ago, and these are the weirdest questions they came up with. Oh, are you Christian? I'm like, what does Christianity have anything to do with the land? What does my personal belief have anything to do with your belief? That was number one. Number two, it was, oh, how many years do I have to stay on your land till I can claim it? I'm like, dude, if I want to sell my land, I'm just going to sell it. I'm just offering you some safety place that you can actually survive instead of dying. And you come up with, how many years do I have to stay on it till I can claim it? So I had a lot of stupid questions to this, but I do believe this: if people come on that land and we start building a community and we start building cabins and building a big garden. I mean, 70 acres is big land. We can accomplish something, but it doesn't happen overnight, and I cannot do it by myself. We're going to need, there's a saying in my country, two hands together makes the sound.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then, so this is my other question, is after shit hit the fan, do you have resources how to find food and water after you run out of yours? Because everybody got a limitation on how much they are prepared, like I was saying earlier, some people have more, some people have less.
Well, me personally, I have a well. I don't have to worry about water. I have a river running through my property with a few fish in it, so I could eat for a while. I kind of tease the neighbor. We have deer running around here, and they get into the gardens and stuff, and everybody says, "Oh, you need to shoot them." And my line is, "Hey, they keep better on the hoof, so let them stay till they're needed."
Right.
I'm not saying I'm going to survive long, but I'm going to survive for a while.
Okay. I mean, where I have my land, I am only 5 miles away from the biggest lake of Texas. So there's plenty of fish there. And on our land, there's my wife's grandmother put a pond there. And there are a bunch of fish in there from God knows from how many years ago. That thing is full of fish. So I'm not worried about food because on that land is a bunch of wild animals, deers, hogs, mountain lions, bears. 3 of them, 3 of our cows got killed. You remember that, Ontario Prepper. So there is plenty of animals on that land, but we can only achieve something if we do something together, not as a single person. And all these lone wolf preppers, yeah, you're gonna be surprised when you run out of your shit, and then you're gonna cry and say, "Oh man, I ran out of my stuff. Oh, I do need your help now." It's gonna be too late then.
Well,
So, but I mean, this is the truth. You know, I'm not making up stuff. This is reality, man. You know, don't come on my land when you
You know,
party.
living in the city,
Say what? I'll tell you.
you know, living in the city, I see the erosion of society every day, and I see it speeding up. It's not getting any better. And you know, the whole thing, and when shit does hit the fan, I'll be honest with you. Once they've done pillaging the land here, it just moves out everywhere else. They're not going to stay in one area, and they
Right.
just start
Exactly.
going. And it just the displacement will be the greatest thing. You know, you could be hiding in the best place at the point, and you know, you get a city like Toronto, Canada, with a population of 4 million. You got Ottawa, population in the millions, and that all gets displaced everywhere. They're just going to be everywhere. Who do you trust? You have to have your mag, you know, and all your community all together before any of this transpires. Know who your people are.
Right.
Said it 1,000 times. Know your people.
You know, in Ontario,
You know?
you put a good point. Is your geography, your location physically, is going to factor in. Because even in a city environment, you know, whether
absolutely.
it's Ontario, Vancouver, Calgary, you know, Vienna, New York City, Houston, if you know what your resources are and you know people you can count on, even if you're split up in the city, you can still work together as almost like a loosely
Right.
organized mag, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because we did that in Houston. All my coworkers, several of them were preppers, and we were scattered all across the city. But you can still coordinate. You can make plans to meet up ahead of time.
Yeah, we do have those kind of plans in place. Everybody knows where to meet and go from there. Safest place probably be up in northern Ontario, somewhere in the back bush. But you know, with all the new equipment, and you know, let's say government agencies wanted to find people or whatever, with the sophisticated equipment and drones that they have nowadays, won't be hard finding you. Especially
Yes.
drones, infrared, heat sensors, the whole 9 yards.
Good to see you, Nino. Happy to see you in the chat. Everybody in the chat, welcome. Yeah, I mean, everybody believes, you know, their location is the safest, but in reality, nobody knows what is the safest. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. You know, is it going to be Yellowstone blowing up? Is it going to be invasion of different countries coming here? Is it going to be civil war between the people in this country? What place is safe, actually? You know, that's a good question. Because there are so many threats here we're talking about. We're not just talking about, oh, it's going to be just a hurricane or so. There are so many threats looking from so many directions towards us. And what is actually the smartest thing to do in this case? You know, where is the best location? We don't know that.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, some people say, "Oh yeah, I moved to Wyoming." I'm like, "Okay, say what's up to Yellowstone." Then, oh, and that's question number 5 is only if you do have a community. Do you have any communication with other groups after SHTF? But that kicks in only if you have a community. And then it is a little bit tricky, you know, with this community thing. If you have another group, how do you know the group is not trying to do any harm to you, not trying to take your shit?
Well, I think a few people in the chat commented, my mother, Spark, Marco, a few others, that you have to vet the people.
Oh, yeah.
that you're allowing. A lot of the preppers I'm associated with are either guys I've worked with or guys I've deployed with. And I know those guys are solid, and I know their families. We know each other's dogs.
Right.
Um, a lot of people think in terms, I do business development for a major company. Like I
Mhm.
have to, we build these relationships and you get to know people, but you have to vet them. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting, the devil in your group.
Right.
And again, I don't know, like Ontario, New York City, and
Right.
Jason in Ontario could comment to those cities.
Mhm.
But the bigger the city, the more risk you have of getting a fool in the group.
Right. But
Yeah.
you know what, Pete? I don't know how can I say this. Okay. Um, I know we are all prepping, right? But in my opinion, prepping is not going to solve the problem that we live in right now. Yeah, it is. It is the basic in order to survive. I get it, but is this going to change our environment in the environment that we live in? I don't think so. I think there has to be something else happening before this kind of stuff changes for the better for us. I mean, you can prep as much as you want, but as soon as you walk out there, you're gonna walk around a bunch of enemies. So that's the problem I'm seeing. It was the same thing when they bombed our house in my country, but all we could do is to leave, because when that happens, you're going to do exactly the same thing. You have to leave that location. You have to go somewhere else. Have a plan B, C, D, or whatever. So, and that's, I think,
Be prepared to
that's
plug in or
something
plug out.
people don't think
Try
about.
to be ambient depth to start with.
I guess it kind of depends on your situation. I'm 70 years old. I got nowhere to go.
Right.
I'm staying here.
Right, I understand that, Tom, but I wasn't planning to leave either. I mean, I
Right.
didn't make that choice. My parents did the choice for me. I was a kid when that happened. But when you're saying you're not going anywhere, well, when the hurricane sucks your house, then you have to find something else. I mean, what are you going to do? Stay on that ground where the four walls and the roof are missing?
Well, that's why we
I
have
mean,
tents, man.
right. I mean, we are not thinking that far, maybe, but when that does happen, you have to come up with a plan B. Always have a plan B or a plan C. What's up, Jason? You're so quiet.
I'm just here listening. That's all.
So what's your opinion about what I said so far? Actually, because I know you are you've been prepping for a while, so I would like to hear your opinion about some of the stuff that I've been talking about.
I mean, one of the things you mentioned or you glossed over a while back was, I know for a lot of us city preppers, if the goal for a lot of us is to get outside of the city, is to get a house, get somewhere rural that we can have gardens, grow food, control what we're eating. I think that's like the bigger goal.
Right.
If we get stuck in the city and something happens, the comment section, and something happens, the clock starts for us immediately as far as where we're going to get our next meal. So for example, I have 2 years worth of food and probably a month, maybe 2 months worth of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the disaster starts, my clock starts, and I have to start looking for water and looking for more food, or looking to get out of here, right? So those are my three options. We city preppers, we're in a bad spot, no doubt about it.
Right.
But the goal is to get out of the city so that I don't have to be in that bad spot anymore, so I could, rely on myself and, do what needs to
Right.
be done to make sure we survive.
So what is your time limit on that? I mean, when do you think is the best time to get out of it? I mean, in my opinion, I think everybody should be, or well, not everybody, but the most people who are preppers, I should say, should already not being in big cities, in my opinion.
Listen, when you become a prepper, when you start seeing what's going on, you start realizing it's time to go. Now, I've been leaving for the last I don't know how long, and it seems like there's something always stopping me. So right now, the plan is just to get outside of the city. Like I'm gonna put it like this: leapfrog, right? So if I
Right.
can get out of the city, that's going to determine, which I'm hoping to do in the next week or so, which is going to dictate what I do after that. I have to break the chain, break the cycle. And the problem is when you grew up in the city, you're so used to all of the shit that comes along with it, whether you
Right.
like it or not, and you just don't realize it. But I'm going to say within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to, at the very least, be upstate New York, or not upstate New York, but like Westchester or the edge of Connecticut.
Hmm.
So as long as I'm out of here, that starts the clock for me to look for land in other places.
Right. I mean, I understand. I try to go on the land and try to do something. Then there's always something coming in between, stopping you from what you really want to do. And then instead of making one step forward, you're making two steps back. So when I was forced to go to Nebraska, right? So I was in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska. Okay, there was only one Walmart, one gas station, and one family dollar store, right? And I realized, damn, there is no Blockbuster, there's no Target, there's nothing, you know. So I had to walk every day when I had to go grocery shopping. My car broke down. I had to walk every day 3 to 5 miles to the next Walmart. Put all my groceries stuff in my bug-out bag and walk 5 miles back.
You know,
So
Jason, you bring up a good point because during Hurricane after Katrina, the one that hit Texas, was it Rita? A lot of people waited too long. And then when they left, the whole freaking city of Houston left at once. And if you look back at those videos, uh, the traffic, so normally you go from like the north side of Houston to Conroe, which is the next small city. It's an hour drive. It was taking, one of my friends went and I told him, don't go. And he said, no, I'm going. 8 hours and he went 14 miles. He ran out of gas. He literally had to turn around and come home. So, and Houston's what, about a third the size of New York City. So yeah, it's timing's going to be key. I think Ghetto pointed to that in the chat. It's situational. So, I mean, you're
Right.
spot on because, I mean, you know this as a firefighter better than anyone, man. If when everyone realizes how bad it's going to be, it gets bad like thump, all at once.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I can't even, and that's not even including like mass transit not working. Because I grew up there, so I'm sitting here listening to you, going, "Holy cow, dude! Now you're stressing me out, and I'm across the country."
so you from Texas, Pete, right?
No, originally I grew up in New York City, and then I moved to Texas.
Oh,
So I've been here almost 30 years. So like my whole
oh,
life
okay.
has been down south.
Well,
But
you're not a New Yorker anymore. You're a Texan now, I guess. Long
yeah,
30 years, long time. Well, I'm from California. I moved like 3.5 years ago from California to Texas. So, and my next question is this, and I think this is a really good one. After SHTF, do you have any medication, doctor, nurse in a surgery situation? You can tell me your tactical medication bag is gonna help everybody. I mean, if there is a bad situation, what do you do in that case? Do you have access to some people who's actually a doctor for surgery and stuff like that?
Not much.
Well, it,
And
it depends how quickly my group can get together. My daughter's a veterinarian, and her fiance is an oncologist and a surgeon. I've got in my immediate family and circle, I've got one MARSOC sniper, two nurses, a homesteader. We basically all agreed we're going to the homesteader's property and make a fort out of it.
well, that's
But it's
one of the
contingent
kind,
on where everyone is, right? Because we
right?
travel professionally. So if I'm in Atlanta and the Cloverfield monster goes right through Atlanta, whatever I was able to pack in my travel get home bag is pretty much what I'm going to have to figure out. So Jason might find me in New York City if I get run up north as opposed to going down south.
I
So
mean, that is a one of the kind. Um, how can I say this? One of the kind of that you telling me that not everybody can say that. I mean, how many other preppers have this option that they have a doctor or a nurse around themselves? I don't think too many people can say that. I mean,
no,
from
it's
my
a
point,
rare it's
from
a
my
rare
point,
group,
my
maybe
wife
one
is
out of
a
10.
nurse. I mean, my wife is a nurse, but I don't know anybody who is a doctor that after SHTF I could run to. I tell my wife just patch me up, I guess. So, um, so yeah, and here's another good question I have, and that's like for everybody who lives in the big cities, what do you do if transportation is out of the question? How the hell are you going to get out of there? Um, let's say, for instance, EMP happens. Of course, you're not going to have there's no gas station. Gas station is out of the question, unless you have saved a lot of gas or whatever. But I mean, um, that's a good question for me. How are you going to get out of there if you cannot use any transportation? Are you going to walk? Are you going to be on a bicycle? Um,
I think I would walk. EMP is like it's like the preppers go to worst scenario for everything. No matter what happens, like you're prepared for X, Y, and Z. What if an EMP happens? I'm like, you know, the EMP on my scale of shit happening, it's up there with zombies. Like not as likely, unless the sun does some weird shit, and then that's a different ball game altogether. But
right.
just for argument's sake, it's an EMP. I walk. That's why I walk everywhere with my backpack on. I practice all the
Right.
time, so that I'm used to it. My
Right.
family, on the other hand, they're fucking screwed because, I try to get them to walk a lot, but they don't walk nearly as much as me. So, unfortunately, I have to move as slow as the slowest person, which are, the wife and kids, or my wife and my daughter, coincidentally, both
Right.
being women. Not saying anything against women, but my son and I, we can hustle. We could make up 10, 15 miles in a day, 20 if we push. The wife and daughter, maybe 10. If it's a bad situation, maybe 12. But again, that's what walking's for. That's what God gave us legs. Gave us legs.
Right. See, before I came to America, Jason, I used to live in Germany, and Germany, everything is local, you really don't need a car, you can walk half a mile or so. When I came to America, I said, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. I walked from Santa Monica to downtown LA. I was in bed for 3 days. I'm like, oh, hell no, you do need a car here. That was way too far. So, but I do agree. The more you walk, and on top of that, it's good for your body. You get in shape and all this. Because at one point we have no other choice to walk, and if you're not in shape, then it don't look good for you.
Not at all.
No. So, and this is my last question. Um, how are we supposed to get together? We preppers on YouTube, because I do see a big war here going on. How is that going to happen? I mean, everybody is hating on each other. At least that's how I see it. There is, in my opinion, I don't think at this point there will be any community if we don't stick together as one. It looks like the prepper community on YouTube is splitting to 1,000 different directions.
It is. You know what it is? I think that, okay. What I'm going to say is going to piss a lot of people off. Well, fuck it.
I'm fine with that.
The problem is that everybody wants to. The preppers who are more focused on making money and subscribers, those are the ones that are driving the division or the wedge in the rest of the community, because they're only concerned about getting out false information first instead of doing their research. They see one or two things and they go right to the fucking video and start filming about shit that, like the Canadian guy that lives up by you guys. He gets these false reports and he starts fucking rattling the shit off. Meanwhile, here we are. We're still here. Nothing's gone on. We're not glowing in the dark. We haven't had an EMP attack. The Chinese are not falling out of the skies with their parachute. Like, none of these things are going on. And so you have guys like that are driving a wedge in the prepper community because he or they rather are basing their channel off of fear to get more subscribers to make more money. They can care less about the subscribers and they can care less about the information they put out there. So a lot of that is going on. Then you got the regular, I'm jealous of this channel because he has this many subscribers. Why has this guy got so many? He's just at this, and there's a lot of that jealousy shit. Now, hopefully, none of that's going to matter when all of this shit goes down, because eventually it will. And when it does, I would hope people use common sense, people come together and make it happen. But the problem is we just have too much animosity, and that's been through time. I mean, if you just look at history, from inception of man to now, tribes have always broken off away from one another because of ideology, right? Thinking, and we're not an exception to that. It'll happen to us as well. You could build your community like you were talking about earlier and have all these people squared away, but you say or do one thing wrong, and you got a group of people breaking off and starting their own shit, right? David Koresh was a more recent example of that, right? He was with a group of Christians, and then he broke off to start off his own, right? So we'll always see that, because that's how humans are.
Right. And I also believe, Jason, I also believe that people react on their emotions a lot.
Yes.
Because like 2 years ago, I said, what are you waiting for? You calling yourselves being so strong, but you haven't even stand up to do anything. All I hear is, I'm ready, but you are still in your house. So what happened? Oh, because of this comment I made, I lost over 200 people. They were suddenly my enemies. I'm like, damn, what did I say? Hey, I'm just telling the facts here. You don't like the facts? Well, that's fine. Then get the hell out of here. But I just go the way I see things. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And
if you go down the hypothetical,
if the way you described it, Jason, we're not going to get together at all, because they're forgetting that we are living in the same country. The way they are acting is like, oh, one of them is Chinese, one of them is Russian, the other one is Arabic, the other one is from Africa, the other one is from America. Well, we are living in the same country. You people have forgotten that. It seems like that to me, at least. So I really don't see any community at this point, to be honest. As long as we are not on the same page, I don't think
No, actually, I think there's community, but it's very subtle. The ones you see, it's kind of like politics. You see the morons on the left and the morons on the right, but the ones that are in the middle actually making things happen, you don't see those because it's not clicky. You know, as Jason pointed out, it doesn't get clickbait, create revenue, but it's how things get done. I mean, I can tell you right now, I mean, Jason and I, there are about 6 or 7 people in the chat. We text each other constantly. Hey, did you hear this? This is on sale. I can't count the number of things on special that I've gotten from people in this extended community, and it's easy to get frustrated because you see, you know, people like Jason pointed at, you know, someone's like, who apparently, if you look at his thumbnails, like Jason and I should have been dead like 15 times already in the last 2 years, but here we still are, being noisy. Yeah, it's much more subtle, and I think if you can filter out that noise and look at what's going on in the background, you'll start to see there is a community, but it's not very in your face, so to say.
Quiet. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, and not that I hate to say this, but it often, again, history has shown us that trauma brings people together. So when something big happens and all the distractions are gone, for example, we'll use the EMP again. When the electronics are out, no social media, no YouTubing, no none of that shit, we're going to come together because now we can focus on one another again versus, you know, what video am I going to do today? Or, you know, some of us, like Pete was saying, we text one another. I'll look at the text and immediately get distracted by some bullshit. Then I go back to the text. I'm like, fuck, I should have answered that like 15, 20 minutes ago. In some cases, a couple of hours. So we currently are just distracted by everything. But I think, or rather I feel that if something grand happens, we'll be able to focus back on one another again.
But it is going to take something big.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Like an alien attack.
Right now in Canada, we're on
All right, thank you.
at the Bill C.
Hello, fellas.
which is
What's up?
Looks
Which
like
is
you
the
need a
new
little spark
censorship.
in your life.
Okay.
So, backing on you with community, we actually have a very tight-knit community, which is why we travel to go to each other's meetups, to meet each other and learn about each other, learn about what skills we all have and what we need to work on. And a lot of us have each other's, like Roaming said, each other's phone numbers. We have different locations of each other that we know that if we have to leave our location, then we can go somewhere else. So we have plans in place, like you were saying, A, B, and C plan. We have those in place. It's just not smart of us to share those out to the public. So we're very quiet when it comes to those plans. And I know it seems like we don't have plans in place, but we actually have a lot of different plans. I mean, all the way through the alphabet. If you really want to get technical, we probably could go through the whole alphabet. We just don't share it.
Okay. Well, from my view of point, I don't see too many people actually. You know,
and-
one or two communities. We are 335 million people in this country. That one community will be eaten like sharks would do. I mean, you're going to need more communities in order to survive this. This is a huge country. You have a lot of people.
That's
Well-
true, but that's where your comms come in. When you have somebody that has comms that is able to bounce off to other communities, that's where each community, even though we are a small community, we have people within our community that can reach other communities.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, when we reach out and they reach out and they reach out, it's all around the world, communities helping each other in one way or form. So it seems small, but honestly, between our channels here, we reach from where we are all the way overseas into other countries.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, and I know Christie's commented on it. You know, here in Texas, I've met 4 other YouTubers in person. I went and met Texas Redleg. I met Red October. I missed Cold War Prepper by half an hour. Just the schedule didn't work. But as I'm traveling around Texas, Rescue and I are trying to figure out how we can all meet with in between prepping. We all know each other, and we work. We're all professionals, and I'm like, look, if you get stranded, you know, the chupacabras are running around Houston, you know, find me, and you know, at the very least, you have a place for 6 hours to sit down, get some water, get a cup of coffee, and figure out what your next move is. And I think if you look at it, you know, landing strip type, you know, if I'm on a business trip in Manhattan, and you know, something goes down and I'm like, hey man, Jason, I just need 3 hours to make some calls and figure out where I'm going next, restock my water, and I'm out the door. But that 3-6 hour stopover is invaluable. And you know, as my mother Spark points out, you know, there's this extended subtle organization. And I mean, I drove across Texas for business meetings and met 3 or 4 YouTubers on the way. You know, I just found 20 minutes and kind of met them at Starbucks. So it's there, but it's not obvious, and both not necessarily intentional, but we don't broadcast it either.
Yeah, the only person I met on YouTube is Just Josh. You know, very very nice guy. So he's here in Texas too. So, but that's the only person I met so far.
So the other thing you can do too, 300 Warriors, is if you go to other people's meetups, go to different meetups where in different states they do meetups. I mean, my husband and I, we drove all the way to New York from South Carolina to meet people, to network. We went all the way to Georgia to meet people, to network. But along the way to your meetups, reach out to the people in your community and make stops along the way. Like RP said, to just have a cup of coffee with somebody. You make connections as you go, and then you make connections while you're there.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, 300.
A lot.
I gotta bounce.
Say what?
Good.
I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go. All right. Okay. I appreciate for coming, Jason.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for having me, guys.
Anytime.
It was nice meeting every one of you. Ontario, I think you emailed me before. I think so. Do me a favor, email me again. Truth with Tom. I'd like to talk to you as well. You can email me at angryprepper@gmail.com. If you can remember that.
Yeah, sure.
Roaming. My mother Spark. See you guys later. Thank you for the
Be good,
time.
brother.
300 Warrior. It was nice being here.
Nice
Thank
meeting you. Thank you for coming.
Not a problem.
Take care, Jason.
Yeah, I agree with Northern Girl Hobbies. Don't spend unnecessary cash to meet up, my opinion. Yeah, because with that money, you could invest that money into building a community. That's the way I see it. Unless you're Richie Rich, you know, you don't mind spending money. That's a different story. But I agree with that. Yeah.
Or do everything else circle.
Well, and for me, again, the roaming prepper, the whole premise of my channel, I travel so much, or I have. I got a business trip across the state. It doesn't cost me anything or affect my business, my company, anything. Take a 30-minute pit stop in a town, grab a coffee, make a new friend, exchange some ideas, and off I go. So, I mean, you can do it that way. If you're doing something else and you're passing through, it doesn't hurt to meet folks. If nothing else, you trade some ideas, you get a new perspective.
Yeah, but at the same time, Pete, at the same time, you know, it takes time to build. You know, you're not gonna build a community in a week or so. So you're going to need people, and you're going to need time, and people have to put energy and effort in order to build a community. I hear from a lot of people, you know, oh yeah, I come when the shit hit the fan. Like, oh yeah, let me roll the red carpet for you, my friend, this way, please. You know, it don't work like that. It takes time to build and energy, and you know, this is a opinion of my wife. You know, she said to me, nobody's gonna do a damn thing until the bullshit is knocking at each other's door,
I
and
think she's
I
right.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the majority of people won't, but I think most of your preppers are doing things behind the scenes. And it's not about rolling out the red carpet. I mean, that's where it comes to meeting people and getting to know them. It's knowing that when you bring them to your property or to wherever your home is, that you know that they are going to pitch in. You know that they have skills that you lack. So they're
Right.
able to help. It's not, some people are medical. Medical is not something you need all the time on your community, but it is going to be a necessity when it comes down to it. So meeting those people, and a lot of people share more in person than they do online. So when you go to these meetups, you actually get to know who the person is and what they really do know, or are they just saying it online? There's a difference. There's a lot of BSers online. If you go to them, you can feel them out and know really what they know and what they do and what they are doing.
Well, I mean, with the doctor and nurses that you're talking about, it all depends for what kind of situation is going to happen. I mean, yeah, if there's just a hurricane happening, yeah, you might don't not necessarily need a doctor for a surgery or so, but say for instance, what we do get invaded or civil war starts, you're going to need a doctor. You're going to need a nurse. You're not going to patch yourself up. I mean, it's good
Yeah.
to have these type of people with skills. Not saying you don't need that, but it's good to have it. Better have it than don't need it. You know.
Well, it's not just trauma though. You have to think, if we can't get prescriptions, say the grid goes down and you have a whole bunch of diabetics that cannot get their medication. You have people out there that know natural ways to keep their sugar balanced.
Yep.
And
Right.
those doctors and nurses and herbalists are the ones that know that. Again, those aren't people you're going to need all the time on your property, but they are people that, even if it's not traumatic, even if it's something where you can't get diabetic medicine, blood pressure medicine, antipsychotic medication, these people know the biology of the body to know how to make it mellow out all the time, to make it better for them. So I know that we think SHTF, a complete war, but SHTF is not just war. It's also, if we all of a sudden can't get medications, if we all of a sudden have a grid down and we can't keep our medications cool, we can't keep our food cool. So you have people that are able to grow food or, butcher a cow. I could never dress a cow. I have no idea how. And honestly, I could never kill a cow because I love animals to death. But could I have somebody else kill the cow and I eat it, but I can make the garden or build or grow the vegetables that go with it? Or can I make the dish out of fresh, ingredients? Absolutely, I can do that. So it's a connection of things that, like I said, you don't need all the time, but
Right.
you will need in those circumstances.
But I mean, this is already happening. There are certain medication are not available anymore. I mean, for example, I have asthma and COPD, right? So the liquid that I put in my machine is not available anymore. They say they told me they don't know if that ever come back. So I'm living without it for now. But,
Albuterol?
but I mean, that's not just the only medication that is out the market right now. I'm sure there are even more than that not available. But that is the reason why we're supposed to prepare ourselves and help each other where we can. Hey, if you have asthma and I have it, hey, it's not going to kill me to give it to you because I know you need it more than I do. You know what I mean? So we have to come closer and help each other. I always say that. Now maybe other people don't think that way. I cannot help that, but at least That's how I am. If
You-
I can
it's
help, I'm happy to help.
it's a continual building of relationships and community.
Right.
I heard someone once tell me a lot of business, a lot of things that happen in civilization is the commerce of relationships. And I think that that carries a lot of weight. Actually, I think my mother's Spark has a meetup sometime later this year. Those are opportunities to meet. Doing stuff like this is an opportunity to collaborate. You get comments and questions in the chat. But I agree with you. I don't think it's as bad as you may see it as right now, but I do agree that those relationships, knowing people, heck, tomorrow I'm going to have to leave shortly. Tomorrow I have a clay shoot. It's a bunch of former military guys, and
Mhm.
most of them are preppers. We're going to go to a clay shoot for charity. And I promise you, we're going to be talking about where do you get this hammer? How'd you upgrade that rifle? Did anyone find ReadyWise? We're going to have those conversations in the background. And it's one of those things that you get that 2 a.m. call saying, hey, they're burning down downtown. We're going to start collaborating. Like, okay, well, where do we all need to go? Where do we bring our kids? But it's subtle and it is hard to see. And I can see where it's frustrating for folks. But I'm going to leave this in y'all's capable hands. You've got my mother Spark, who's just awesome. Tom, Ontario, is a pleasure to finally get to chat with you guys too.
Good to meet you, sir.
And 300, thank you for having me. My
Yeah,
brother.
I'm really glad
Thanks, RP.
that you all could make it. But before you go, I really want to point this out. This country haven't seen anything yet. We are kind of concerned. I understand that. But I have lost my house. I have lost my country.
Mhm.
I have lost my family. I've been shot as a kid. So I had to leave my country by foot with my parents. So I have seen some shit. And I don't think any of us in this country have seen anything like that. And I hope everybody is preparing like tomorrow is your last day, like my title says, because it can get really, really ugly. And I hope everybody prepared themselves, and I appreciate everybody coming. I'm really glad you could make it, Pete, Tom, Ontario Prepper. Thanks for coming up. What was your name again? I forgot. It says only MMS.
It's my mother's Spark, but my
Oh.
name is Christy.
Okay, nice to meet you, Christy. So yeah, thank you for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions in the chat, this is a perfect time to ask everybody here. And if any of you guys want to come up, I'm gonna run an after party after this this live stream. You guys can come jump in the box and we can continue talking.
So 300, I'm having a meetup in October. Pete had mentioned it, and you're more than welcome to come. I have people coming from New York, from Virginia, from Ohio, from North Carolina, Georgia, and I am actually currently working on setting up almost like a convention. So there's going to be people that are actually teaching skills on communications, on bushcrafting, on weaponry, on self-defense, on first aid. This is all being coordinated right now, but it's in October, and it's in Tennessee, and you are more than welcome to come up there October 13th, 15th.
I might be moving there.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like the 105 heat in Texas? Come on.
It's too hot here for me.
It was only 107 today. I mean.
Oh yeah, sweet.
No. Guys, all of y'all be safe. I gotta run so I can get up functional tomorrow.
Take care, Roman.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for everybody coming. I really appreciate that. So I see you guys the next one. If you want to join me on the after party, I'm going to run it right after this one. You're welcome to come up and have fun. And maybe we can talk further about this situation. Thanks for coming. And Tom, I emailed you, so just email me back or
Okay.
let me. All right. In
And
Ontario,
you two can hit me up too, and we'll get together on a channel too.
All right. So I see you guys on the next one.
It was real good to meet everybody. A pleasure to be
All
with
right, I
you.
appreciate that, and everybody in the chat, I appreciate for coming. I hope you enjoyed this conversation we talked about, and I see you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe, stay strong. God bless, and 300 out.
Keep on doing the stuff, people.